Hello, social media, cyber waves. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to Tuesday's Textile Alchemy with me, Crispina French. I'm an OG textile upcycler and entrepreneur, adventurer. Generally, I just like to create ways to add a lot of meaning to my craft and have fun in the world. So, if you're interested in adding meaning to your textile craft and enjoying yourself doing that with a posse of awesome people, I hope that you will make a point of joining me here on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every week. And I also have a podcast that's pretty new. I just launched it. We have 5 episodes out. Today, our 5th episode is out. It's called Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Podcast. And you can find it everywhere that you can find podcasts. Although I have to say, it's a little hard to find. And I'm not sure. Maybe someone can help me with that. Does anybody know how to make your podcast easier to find? When you search Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Podcast, it comes up. You have to put in all of those words. And you can also search by my name, Crispina French. So any insight or advice on how to make that more easy to search, I really appreciate. Good morning, Doris Lynn. Thanks for joining me here. Thanks for being with us on YouTube. And wow, I see a lot of people are with me today. This is so exciting. Jessamy, how's it going? So thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to talk about our ongoing stitch along process. So if you've been around a while, you might have heard me talk about our stitch alongs in the past. And today we are busy working on compiling all the kits that will be going out in the mail later today or probably tomorrow. So so let me back up a minute for anybody who's just joining for the first time. Our stitch along is a fundraising project that was started a couple of years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic, actually, and just kind of stumbled, well, kind of like everything I put together. It was like, people need a community, people need to hang together. There's this pandemic going on. What the heck does that even mean? And I just created this idea, like, okay, if everybody who wants to join the blanket making process, they can all make a square. And I just kind of pulled it out of my thin air, like, okay. And I sold spots at the sold the kits so everybody could make a square, and we made this beautiful blanket, and it was made out of wool, and I taught all the different steps right here on the it was on Zoom, actually. So that was a huge success. And we did a second one, which was also a huge success. And then this spring I hosted the Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Summit, and during that time I met Margaret Pettway, who is one of the G's Bend quilters from Alabama. And if anyone out there is a quilter who wants to be inspired by the most amazing, artful, like, blow my mind, blow your mind too, I think, quilts, look up G's Bend. If you're not familiar, you should definitely check them out. If you are familiar, I bet you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Margaret lives in a place very rural, Alabama. G's Bend is a tiny little town, population right around 200. Their connectivity is super shaky at best. And so it took us a really long time to figure out how to get her to participate in the summit. Everybody was making recorded presentations, and I was trying to help her figure out how to do that. And it just was impossible, actually. It wound up that she was our only presenter at the summit who actually joined us live via Zoom. So, and that was due to her lack of connectivity. During that time, during the okay, let's try this. Okay, let's try that. Let's try this platform. Let's try that platform. We became kind of friends, and we text each other back and forth. And she had gotten into a car accident. Nothing, she didn't get hurt, but her car got hurt. And it became clear to me that she was not able to get her car fixed right away. Financially, it was not possible. And as we got to know each other more, I realized that she has representation in over 25, I think, international, really notable museums all over the world, has G's Bend quilts in their collection. And yet this woman who is the 4th generation G's Bend quilter struggles financially. She does not have a quilting studio where she can actually work on a bed-sized quilt. So I thought, oh my gosh, Mary Margaret, let's do a stitch along together. Let's make a project together. Let's get a bunch of really interesting, cool people involved, and let's make a quilt together that we can then raise funds for. People will donate any, amount from 50 to 100, any amount in increments of $50 get your on the list of people who could actually be chosen to be the owner of that collaborative blanket or quilt. Actually, it's actually a real life quilt this time because Mary Margaret's involved. So she thought it was a great idea. She was really into it. She's going to be teaching the classes to make the quilt squares with me, beginning in just a couple. Well, actually, it's scheduled to begin on Sunday. You can still join if you're interested. You can join the stitch along, and all the money that we raise will support a studio that she will have to make her quilts. So yesterday, somebody asked me if, what is this quilting studio that you're funding? Like, exactly what is it? And initially I was kind of like, I kind of felt like, would she feel uncomfortable telling people that we were funding a studio for her personally? And she didn't. She was a little hesitant, but over time she realized that, like, it's okay, right? Like, it's all right to share with people that even though she's well recognized around the world, she's a public speaker, she's, traveled, she's worldly, she's had her work in collaborations with designers who have shown their work on the New York Fashion Week runway. Right now, she's working on a huge collaboration with Greg Lauren, who is Ralph Lauren's nephew. This spring, she had 2022. She had work in a collaboration with a different designer, Chloe, who showed in Paris on their Fashion Week runway. So this woman is so highly recognized, and her work it just carries on this amazing tradition and legacy that her ancestors have passed to her. So I think it's our duty as people who appreciate textile upcycling to start with, and then Mary Margaret's work and heritage. Secondly, we need to help her find financial comfort and be able to spend her time making the beautiful work that she is known for around the world. She works a full-time job to support herself rather than being able to make her quilts. So with all of that said, I hope that you will participate if you're not already on the list. I see a bunch of our participants on the feed right now. So hey, Melissa Draper, my girlfriend out in Utah. And let's see, there's a note there. I'm just going to read it. The more people who listen, subscribe, and like make it easier for others to find your podcast. I've subscribed because I love to listen while I'm sewing. Melissa, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So yeah, you guys, the podcast that Melissa's talking about, in case you just tuned in, is my brand new podcast. It's called Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Podcast. And we just released our 5th episode. We're just kind of getting started, kind of figuring out all the technology behind the scenes. And we release every week. Over time, it will be regularly on Monday mornings first thing. So right now we're still kind of getting to that point. But yeah, if you could check that out and share it, you guys, share it, because honestly, the textile waste issue in our biosphere, global biosphere, is a really big deal. It's a really big deal. And the beautiful thing about it is that we all, as clothing wearers and textile users, have the ability to make change happen, right? With creativity and positivity. And, let's keep the doom and gloom at bay. Let's not focus on the top, the summit. Let's just focus on the couple little baby steps that we can take together today. So I would like to know, where are you guys? Where are you tuning in from? Are you listening live? Or are you taking this out as a recording? Let me know where in the world you are. And also let me know what about textile upcycling is appealing to you. Is it something that you aspire to learn more about? Is it something that you are passionate about and have been living, doing and breathing for many years? Share with me a little bit about your textile upcycling journey. And let me know, do you have any questions? Let's... Donna Mata lives in North Adams. So I have a funny story. Donna, I'm going to share a little funny story. I hope it's okay with you. So it is, because it's a good one. Donna Mata and I met at our other friend Donna's house, right? At a 4-H meeting, because our kids, we have kind of the same children order, right? Like a son who is much older than the two younger kids, right? So Donna's girls are similarly aged to my daughters, and we walked in. I walked into the room and I looked at her. I'm like, oh, this girl is like, I need to know her. And sure enough, we got chatting and we found so many similarities, even though like our lives are quite different, but we just have this like, I don't know, Don, I feel like you're like my sister from a different mister or something. Anyway, so I'm so glad Don is going to be participating in the stitch along. So anybody who wants to meet her will be able to, if you join too. Let's see. So, and Reed Barnhart, we've got another participant with us on Facebook, and she says my top looks like applique. You want to hear something really funny, Reed? I'm going to try to give you a close up. Can you see it? Straight from the Goodwill, because that's where I buy all of my clothing. And it's like fake. It's just like a really nice little thin cotton layer for this hot weather that we're having. And it kind of reminds me of like an African print or some kind of, I don't know, ethnic print of some kind that was probably made by an American company in, China or somewhere. But I do love it. It's nice and long. If you can see the bottom, it kind of like covers. So you can wear like a little pair of bike shorts and stay nice and cool. And Betty Marshall, Betty, welcome. I'm so glad you're with us today. And I think that Betty, you're also participating in the stitch along from out in Vancouver, BC. So you guys can see, I know Reed's in Texas, Donna's right here in Massachusetts by me. We've got Betty in Vancouver, British Columbia. We have another one participating, Suzanne, who's from Toronto. A lot of people from all over the world are participating in the stitch along. And the coolest part about it is that, well, not the coolest part, but one of the very cool things about it is that in the tradition of quilting, people oftentimes would hide somewhere within the quilt, little like words, a date, a name, a location, something that would identify that quilt as being from a place at a specific time, and maybe even would identify the maker of that quilt. So when I first started the stitch along, I actually based the stitch along kind of model on what I knew about G's Bend at the time, which was people working together to create one beautiful finished product, right? And working in sewing circles. And of course, G's Bend working in sewing circles was not virtual, it was in person, and they could chat and sip cold drinks on a hot day or whatever. But the idea came to me from knowing a little bit about G's Bend, and then the idea also of like identifying the makers, right? So each person who makes a square of the quilt will be stitching their name, their location. They can add a little salutation in there if they'd like, and the date will go on. I'll make the one that has the year on it, so everybody doesn't have to do that. But it's going to be so awesome, you guys. And Jeff and Jody, I got to get a glimpse of you yesterday on a Zoom call. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited, you guys. And actually, if anybody else also has presence where people can check out what you're doing for textile upcycling, Jeff and Jody, who just joined on Facebook, if anybody's over there listening, look at their page. They make amazing things from recycled textiles. They've been doing it a little while. It's so nice to be able to collaborate with people who share that interest and passion, and kind of, it's a different kind of creativity when you're limiting your process to only using used materials, right? So for me, it almost like amps it up a little bit. So does anybody have any questions about the stitch along? I'm seeing a whole bunch of people over on Instagram too. And I just want to also shout out to Jessamy Shea, who, I'm not sure if she's still with us, but she was, she had joined a little earlier. Jessamy has an amazing vintage clothing store in Somerville, Mass. High Energy Vintage, and it's on Instagram, and she has a great, just a really fun presence. And she also does beautiful, like bespoke mending and kind of recreating of the garments that she finds that are really cool, but are damaged in some way that require more input from her. So it's definitely another place to check out. So yeah, Jessamy, oh cool, she's still there. That's awesome. And let's see, Doris Lynn from New Jersey. Doris, thank you for tuning in. And I know that you're also a textile upcycler. And as far as I know, and I hope I'm not not correct. I hope I'm correct in saying that. I think Doris is working on putting together a business and maybe is going to be able to share that with us at a future Tuesday Alchemy here live with us. So I am so glad you're here. I hope I'm going to put the link to join the Stitch Along right in the comments where I can, which if you're on Instagram, you can get to our link for the Stitch Along if you go to the link in the bio. And if you're in YouTube or Facebook, I think I can share links there. The only place I'm not certain I can actually share a link is I think that LinkedIn doesn't actually allow for the let me see if I can find the link. I'm sorry. I'm like, this is me. I do this on the fly, so it's okay. It's all good. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share a link to a blog post that I wrote about let's see what I wrote about the Stitch Along, which I think will just kind of give you a little bit more background information than so you can kind of learn more about it. It costs $97 to join. There's 4 classes that are, included in that. And as well, the other thing that's really cool about the Stitch Along is that there's 4 classes that are live on Zoom that we include in the price. It's $97, so $25 a class-ish. Sandra Primo, who is our community manager over in Stitcherhood, which is an online membership organization that's geared toward anyone who's interested in textile upcycling. So Sandra and I work together, and then Mary Margaret will be joining us as well to teach the sessions. And we will teach you exactly how to do it. You do not need to have any kind of, experience or know-how. They're completely hand sewn. So it's not like you have to have a sewing machine. So if anybody has joined and has not gotten a kit, not ordered a kit, the kits are actually sold out. So if you do want to join, I put the link up in Facebook and YouTube. And again, if you're on Instagram, you can look in the profile. You'll find like a Stitch Along 3.0 link in there. The people who have not purchased a kit and have joined the Stitch Along will get an email with links to the Stitcherhood, which you get to have access to for 60 days as part of your purchase. And there's a private group in the Stitcherhood portal where all the people who are participating in the Stitch Along are gathering and sharing and getting to know each other a little bit right now. And then either later today or tomorrow morning, you will be receiving an email with directions on how to compile your kit, patterns, the layout, all, material suggestions, all that kind of stuff, along with our schedule for when the classes will be held. So I hope that answers your question, Donna. So that will be coming out, today or the next day. And yes, Reed, it will come to you in an email. And you should have everything you need there. And of course, if you have questions, you need to reach me or Sandra. We can get with you in the private group. You can either direct message us if you have any questions, or just if it's a question you think other people might have as well, post it in the activities feed and we can answer it there so others can see it as well. So yeah, the Stitch Along, the tickets are, you can join until Friday at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We are we're going to make an amazing quilt. We're shooting for a queen size blanket, or sorry, I keep saying blanket because that's the kind of thing I make when I'm not working with Mary Margaret Pettway from G's Bend. We are making a bona fide quilt this time, you guys. It's going to, like, edges are going to be turned under. It's going to be, something that your grandchildren will cherish and love. And it's going to be pretty remarkable. It's going to actually be quilted by Mary Margaret in G's Bend. So if you have any questions, if you want to learn more, go to the link I posted. You can go to my website, which is crispina.eco, and you can punch in crispina.com too. That's easier to remember sometimes. And go to the blog, and I've got a bunch of posts in there about it. I'm actually going to be adding another one probably tomorrow about the studio and about exactly what the studio is that we are supporting and building with the 100% of the proceeds that we raise together for the quilt that we'll make as a group. So don't miss the opportunity, you guys. Now is the time to enjoy the creative aspects of addressing our textile waste issue while supporting the people who inspired us. I firmly believe that the Gee's Bend Quilters are like, that place is the birthplace of North American textile upcycling. None of us would be here using the aesthetics that we have chosen if we hadn't been inspired by their work in some way, whether it was conscious, subconscious. It might have been our mothers, grandmothers who were inspired by them, but we are who we are today as textile upcyclers because of Gee's Bend. So please keep them front of mind when you're thinking about who to support and how to really honor and show Gee's Bend the respect and the place that they hold in our history and heritage, right? So you guys, I really appreciate you joining me today. I try to keep these Tuesday morning sessions to about 20 minutes. I always go over because I'm kind of a blabbermouth, but I love hanging out with you guys, and I hope you all have a really nice week. Next week, I can't remember exactly now what our topic for next week is, but I'll be back next Tuesday. And if you are in the market for joining me every Tuesday, 30 minutes, not 30 minutes, try to do 20 minutes right here live streaming all kinds of information and cool facts, and other inspiring creative textile upcyclers are here every week. So I hope you'll put it in your calendar and come back around. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great week, everybody.